Hi, it's a beautiful day in Ithaca, and we are going to focus on recognizing the letter E. As I said, we're not getting too concerned about what sound it makes because like A, E makes a lot of different sounds. We're just trying to find big A's, sometimes called uppercase or title case E's, and little e's or lowercase e's. So can you spot the E in this sign? It's something you're going to see a lot. So if you said this letter, that's right. E is a friendly little letter with 3 lines, easy to find. And then there we have an O and an A. Way. So the sign actually says one way. It says silent E, but O does not say its name. Own. It should be own, but it's one for some odd reason. You do not have to memorize that. I'm just letting you know. As a friend, I feel like I should be transparent, but we are going to break that E down into 10 videos later on, so you're really going to get it. So E is probably, I think, the most common letter in the alphabet, so it's very easy to find. Can you find the E in the word enter, and the E in the word accept, and the E in the word bicycles? We have 3 here. Enter, accept, and bicycles. Okay, so I'm going to help you out. You have actually 2 in the word enter, E and E. And just like A, E makes a funky sound in front of R's, which we're going to do a whole video about, not today. E as an X, accept. You might remember from the X video that X often comes after E. Then we have bicycles, where E makes an O sound. And that's just helping us know that it's not 1 bicycle, but 2 bicycles. Hi, how are you? Love running into people I know and just saying hi. Not get me feeling like I have to get in a big old discussion, but I just saw a nice guy who is often on this street with his son. Okay, so let's try to find some more E's. We're suddenly going through a period where we don't have a lot of signs. But we can, oh, we're coming up on my favorite black light. Oh, here's a nice bumper sticker. Okay. Thank you, person who wrote this. Okay, so I'm going to try not to drop my phone in the water. And here we have defend nature. Oh, that's a cause I'm very passionate about. Do you love nature? Did you know that teaching people how to read has a huge ripple effect on the planet? Because more women go into science and technology fields, and people change from gas to electric stoves. It reduces population. That's part of the reason I'm making these videos, is to help save nature. Okay, so we have defend. It's not defend. Oops, sorry. And we have E as in fend, which is a normal sound. And then we have this silent E at the end of nature. Don't ask me why it's not nature, but it isn't. It's a silent E. All right, let's see. No more E's there. And then we have, if you've been watching these videos, you've seen this sign quite a bit. It's a cause I care about very deeply. Black Lives Matter. And we have a silent E in the word lives. That's why it's not Black Life Matters, but Black Lives Matters. And that's also why the S makes a Z sound. Okay, now we have our Cornell University sign. Oh, and that person has a sign love on their door. That's kind of nice. Love has a silent E at the end. It's not loaf, it's love. Do you see the E? It's kind of hard to read. Okay, and then we have Cornell University. Can you guess which would be the E in Cornell? It's a normal E sound. Cornell. Can you find it? It's right there. E. All right, we've been finding a bunch of big E's, but I haven't found you all any small E's. So that is good. We're actually coming up on a street. Oh, here's another one way. Can you spot the E? It's a bit far away. E. It's a silent E. Ah, sorry, the blur. One way. Okay. I really do want to find you at least a few smaller E's so you can get used to spotting them. But the street signs usually have the bigger letters because they really want you to pay attention. This is another big E in I guess I can't point. You're gonna have to find it yourself. Outlet. Can you find the E? Okay. DeWitt Park Historic District, they have a fake small e, DeWitt. Sometimes people don't know how to draw lowercase letters, so they just instead make big letters small. Okay. This historic district contains many of the city's earliest. Okay. Here we have a small e in earliest. I'm holding my coffee, so it's hard for me to point. Can you find it? I'm gonna put my coffee down. All right, so this district contains many of the city's earliest, E in earliest. Buildings, the park originally known as the public square. Okay, there we have a silent E in square, and its surroundings were, we have two E's there, E in were. E and E, a silent E and an E before an R, which makes an sound. Whew, okay, those were some nice little E's, lowercase E's, because they were in kind of a weird italic font. I like to find you guys that are things that are written a bit strangely, because in real life, people do not make letters look beautiful all the time, or they try to make them beautiful and then instead they make them impossible to read for you darling people. Okay, can you see the E in this sign? Do you happen to remember what type of E this is? This is what we call a silent E, and this word is not time, it's time, because the E makes the I say its name. So there you get a sneak peek at our silent E lesson, which is one of my favorite rules in the English language just because it's so predictable. Okay, hopefully Christopher George Real Estate is not going to yell at me. So we have a couple E's here. Can you find them? Luckily they're all small, so we get practice. Christopher makes the sound because it's before an R. George, this is a really weird E-O, which does something a little bit strange. This E-O makes the G, which would normally be G, become a J. So strange. That's like such a weird random little rule. It's also, you might hear it in the word geode, George, but the word gorge is G, because that's a G-O, but this is a G-E-O, George. And this E at the end is a silent E, but nothing says its name. This is R-G-E, which makes J. And then we have E-A, which is a pretty common standard rule. E-A always makes E. So that's real. Do you know what that word is? Real. Real. Here, is this an uppercase or a lowercase E? Uppercase. And there's a silent E, which actually works the way it's supposed to. Do you want to try to read this hard word with me? Est. And then we have a silent E, so this says its name. Estate. Real estate. Do you see how that works? Then we have one more silent E. Office, which, since it's a silent E, it should be office. Who knows why it's not. But, you know, I feel like I have to be honest with you about all these silly exceptions in English, but just trust me, they're not going to prevent you from learning how to read. Because once you understand phonics, which I think you're going to understand really well after doing this short video with me every day for 90 or 100 days or year, you're going to start being able to kind of guess what words are, and then you're going to be starting to memorize whole words. A lot of people, even in the US, were taught a way of learning to read, which was memorizing words, instead of doing what we're doing, which is learning what letter each sound makes and how to, what sound each letter makes and how to blend them together. And when you've cracked the code, the reading code, it makes it possible for you to read a lot more words, memorize new words much more fast, and just like learn any word, even if you haven't memorized it. So thanks for coming along with this phonics ride for me. Okay, so we're gonna do one more. Do you see the double E? So what's the first letter? The first word, S, that makes a S sound. And then what's the second sound? P. So we have sp. And then EE makes an E sound. So what's that? Spee. and then you have a D at the end. Speed. Can you read that faster? Anyone know what it is? Speed. And then the second one is hump. Speed hump. So maybe you can maybe you can actually read the word speed now. I like the double E because it's also just usually always the same. It's a rule, like if you pretty much ever see E together, it's gonna be E. So today, I just want you to go about finding E's. We found a lot of churches in the other videos, so I want to point out we have a nice synagogue here, Temple Bethel, which has an E in temple, and Beth, and capital E and L. Office, silent E, and Rubenstein, that's a weird EIN rule. Chapel, EL, Bizarrito. Entrance, normal E, sound, normal sound. And that uppercase E, entrance. And then we have a silent E at the end. No letter says its name. Well, I guess, you know what that does actually? The E makes the C instead of K be S. Okay, so all you have to do today, find big E's and find small E's. I gave you a ton of information, but the way that you are really going to learn these vowels is start simple. So all I want you to do, go around your city, find big E's, find small E's. Don't worry about the sounds they make. You could try to guess the word if you have an idea, but basically just try to find big E's and small E's and have a wonderful day, everybody.